Hello and welcome to this episode of Essex by the Sea. I'm Owen Ward and I'll be exploring the coast of Essex on this podcast, finding out about and hearing the amazing stories from this diverse part of the world. Before meeting my guest, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe on your favourite podcast app, and don't forget to tell your friends about Essex by the Sea and encourage them to subscribe too. The Pioneer Sailing Trust was initially founded in 1999 with the ambition to restore a 70-foot Essex smack pioneer boat. The Pioneer has a very long history of its own, having been originally built in Rowhedge on the River Colne in 1864. In 1889, she was lengthened and had a wet well fitted. We'll come on to what one of those is later. But that happened right here in Brightlingsea, which is where I am for this episode. Felicity Lees is from the Pioneer Sailing Trust and joins me now on Essex by the Sea. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you for coming.
Now, the Pioneer restoration was completed way back in 2005. So what does the Trust do these days?
So when the boat was finished and restored, it was then fitted with accommodation. And the reason for that is so we could take lots of people from Essex, mainly Essex, out on the water. So we can take up to 16 and we do day trips, we can do week-long trips so they can stay overnight, we can do weekends, and we work with over 1,000 people a year normally, and 75% of those people are from very close to us, so Clacton and Tendring, Colchester, so that's generally the sort of people that we work with.
So how does the activities of the Trust help young people in the local community?
So what we do is we start off by using our sailing boat, the Pioneer, as our main platform to get a lot of young people on the water. So from the age of about 9 years old, lots of young people have actually been on board. They've been on board for a multi-activity day where they'll do some sailing on Pioneer, they'll do some trawling, they might do a beach scavenger hunt, they'll learn a little bit about history, and they'll also get introduced to our yard and what we do here, and introduced to the idea that apprenticeships in boat building exist, and this is somewhere that they can do that, and they can also do work experience when they're a little bit older. So the idea is all those people that we get in through the door that go sailing also get introduced to the boat building side of what we do, and just plants a little seed, so when they're a bit older they can come back and they can do some work experience or apply for an apprenticeship and get involved that way. So what we try and do is really support them after the apprenticeship to get work, and we've been running the apprenticeship since 2010. Since then, most of the apprentices, we know exactly where they've gone, but we do know that they've all been very successful in either going on to work for other boatyards or doing other things related to sort of carpentry, joinery, engineering, so they've all been really successful.
It's brilliant, and actually prime location here, just on the waterfront in Brightlingsea. There's a lot of industry around here as well, actually, so local industry that I guess is really key to Brightlingsea as a town.
Yeah, we've got several of the other boat builders that work here. They're all a bit different. We've got White Formula just up the road. They help us with all our fiberglassing. We've also got the sail makers, so that's Lawrence Sails. They help with all of that. We've got TS Rigging not too far away, so they'll help with rigging. And we've got DB Marine, that's sort of engine related. We've got French Marine, we've got Morgan's Marine, so lots of places that help us do what we do and also can support apprentices as well. So we're pretty lucky where we are. We've got all of these other places right next to us.
Literally your neighbours. Now we're in the sort of workshop here, just on the upper levels. I can see saws and mallets and hammers and tape measures all lined up on the wall behind you. Mm-hmm. What normally happens in this room?
This room is generally the sort of joinery room where the apprentices from the other yards, they come here for their week. So they do sort of 1 week every 5 weeks normally. They can't do that at the moment because of the restrictions. A lot of the course is now taught online, but they'd normally be doing their joinery pieces, so they learn how to use the hand tools, they'll learn how to do the machining, so there's little exercises that they'll do.
And I can see just laid out on the floor here a piece which looks very old. It's certainly not new. What's this piece of wood to someone who's not familiar with boat building? What's this?
That is a keel, and that's been taken out of our latest restoration job, which is downstairs. I'll show you downstairs in a bit. So the boat is a really special boat. It's a William Fyfe design, so that's world-renowned boat design, and we've actually got a small William Fyfe boat here, 24-foot boat, which is being completely restored, and our apprentice Tom Curtis and Eleanor are restoring her. So Tom is pretty much rebuilding the whole thing, so they've had to take the keel out, and then they've put a new keel in, and they've started the framing, and then they're going to do the planking. So in the next few months we should have something that resembles a new boat.
Amazing. Well, let's go downstairs and have a look then at that, shall we? So Felicity, we've come downstairs. What can we see here now?
So we've got two boats down here. We've got the William Fyfe boat that we saw the keel of upstairs, and that is the new sort of frame. And then we've got the Lady Nancy project, which is another restoration job. It's almost a fully restoration job on that one. We've got the boat builders working on that, and we've got the apprentices at the moment. They're working on this really special William Fyfe design, and we've been working on this for a couple of months now. They've just put the new keel in, as I said. You can see all the frames, and all these battens along here are getting the shape for the new boat. So all the shape is coming off the frames. The battens go around, and then they can start to think about planking, and they're going to start from the bottom with the first plank. That's called the garboard plank, and then they'll go up from there.
And we've got people here that are working on the two. The one that we were focusing on is the smaller of the two vessels that are in here, and I can see there's a lot of new wood that's gone into that. There's very little of the original that I can see, so quite a full-on restoration.
Yeah, so with the Lady Nancy, the keel was originally cast iron. That's been taken out, and it's been replaced with a lead keel. So that's changed the shape of the boat a little bit. And then the floors inside the boat, so all the metalwork, that's all bronze in there. What they've done now, after they've put the new sort of keel in, is they've built up with the planking. That's all new. What we're trying to do is keep the frames, so the older frames that you can see, that's still the original boat, and the coach roof, which is at the top of the boat there, that's going to be kept as well. So as much as we can has been kept from that boat, whereas the smaller boat next to it, none of the frames were good enough to keep.
And I guess actually, I mean, it's a shame really, because a lot of the work people aren't going to see once the boat's in the water. A lot of that will be either under the water or it's inside enclosed that you don't get to see. The only bit that you're really going to see is that top part of it.
Yeah, the deck's all going to be new as well. It'll look really lovely, and that'll be a fast boat hopefully as well. It's going to go off to the Med once it's done, and hopefully be raced competitively there. We are doing that for a customer, so it's going to go off to wherever she's going to put it there, and hopefully it's going to do really well in the racing.
Now, it's not just these two vessels that you're working on at the moment. There's smaller ones that you're working on as well.
Yeah, so we've got the rowing gig project, that's in the other room, and with the rowing boats we've built 20 from wood, and then the last 4 that we've built are from fiberglass, so they're composite. So we've got fiberglass for the hull, which we've been developing with white formula, and we have fitted out the inside of the boat with wood. So it's a composite build.
So Felicity, who have we got here working on these boats?
We've got Fraser and Alana, and Fraser is leading this project at the moment, so he's leading the build of the gigs, and Alana is fairly new to woodwork. So Fraser's an apprentice, and Alana is a trainee with us at the moment, and she's a trainee from National Historic Ships.
Well, Fraser, where do you start then on a project like this?
So we get the external mould come in. We have to fair up the top edge of it, make sure everything's looking right, make sure there's no issues with the GRP. And then we start assessing the internal moulding, going in, making sure all the components are ready, fitting in there. We have a wooden insert inserted into the keel, which we'll use to fasten a keel band to it so that it doesn't get damaged. And then we start on the woodwork, so the fitting of the forts, the rowing positions, in walls, gunnels, false stem head. And then after that it's down to finishing, varnishing, out the door.
So in terms of this boat here, just in front of us, how complete is this? How far through the project?
This is roughly about halfway. So we've got all the forts fitted, bonded in. We're working on the knees now. And then we'll start on the rowing positions, and then looking to fit the outwalls, and then varnishing.
It's coming on great. I mean, it looks brilliant. Alana, you're working in here on this. Why did you get into doing woodwork and joinery?
Yeah, well, I actually started out sailing, so I'm usually out on Pioneer, but we've kind of hit a quiet patch in the sailing season, as you can imagine. So I've moved into the workshop. I did a couple of weeks at the International Boat Building College up in Lowestoft before I came down to Pioneer. So that was quite helpful, and Fraser's been teaching me bits as I go along as well, which is really good going. Yeah.
So what is it you're working on exactly at the moment? When I first arrived, I saw you sort of measuring out some bits and pieces.
Yeah, so we're just putting in the knees, which are the supports along the benches, and it's just kind of getting them to fit along the hull. There's those little sort of nooks and crannies that you have to fit them to. So a bit of chipping away here, and then trying to see if it fits again, and then chipping away a bit more.
And I'm guessing because of the shape of the hull, it's every one is unique.
Yeah, definitely. So the hull actually curves, and some of them, especially the ones at the very aft end of the boat, are quite difficult to fit because you've got quite an extreme bevel on those.
So can normally be found out on the water, but on dry land at the moment. Are you enjoying the work that you're doing here?
Yeah, I love woodwork actually. I really enjoy building the boats, and it's a really nice work environment as well. So it's a good place to be.
And Fraser, how's the apprenticeship going? How long is the apprenticeship for you?
So I'm just coming up to my third year. I've got my last year coming up, and so far it's been amazing. Really good skills. Before I came onto this, I was working next door, working on Lady Nancy. So I'd never done any carvel planking. So I'd been working on that, getting a perfect fit. So fitting to 20 foot, curving in two directions is quite the task, but it's been a good head scratch and really bettering my skills.
And once your apprenticeship is over, what are you hoping to then go on to do?
My plans are to stay in the boat building trade, looking at other areas around here. So there's a few local yards not too far away from where I live. Then perhaps moving slightly further afield, but staying within boat building.
Thank you very much for chatting. I'll let you carry on with your work. Felicity, just finally then, I mean, Pioneer, the ship that started it all off, how often normally can that be found out on the water?
We normally do about 120 days a year, from end of April to the end of October. So normally we'd be quite busy. We were very busy in the summer holidays. We took a lot of family groups out. So due to regulations with the COVID, what we were allowed to do was family groups. That was sort of up to 6 people, and then we had social workers as well. So the family groups, along with their social workers, could come for the day, and some of those families have really struggled with the lockdown. It was even worse. So the day when they came with us was probably their first day for a lot of people to actually get out and about and come out and do something really positive and essentially help bond them back together. So we did nearly every day of the holidays that we could. back-to-back sort of family groups, and those family groups were very close to us. So a lot of those groups, they see pioneer sailing. So some of the groups came from Jaywick. They're right on the waterfront. They can see boats out there, but they never get to go out on the boat. So, you know, for some of them, it was a bit of a dream come true, the fact that they could actually go sailing. So, and it was a great opportunity for them.
And finally then, Felicity, I mentioned it right at the beginning of the episode. What's a wet well?
Well, I think the best person to describe that is actually one of our apprentices who sails on Pioneer and also leading the project next door. So this is Tom.
Hi there, Tom. So come then, what's a wet well?
A wet well is a kind of half bulkhead in the middle of the ship that's watertight, and they drilled holes in the side of the boat to let the water run in and out of the boat so that they could keep the oysters alive as long as possible. Because Pioneer's not a local boat, she went all the way out to Shelling. She had to keep the oysters alive as long as possible, which meant keeping them in the water.
There we go. So it's a boat with effectively holes at the bottom to let water in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there we go. We learn something every day. Tom, thank you ever so much for that. And thank you to everybody who we've spoken to here at the Pioneer Sailing Trust. Next time on Essex by the Sea.
My first ever holiday, we came down here as a family because I come from London originally, and we came down here on our first ever family holiday when I was 3 years old. My mum and dad and my brother and me, he was older than me, and that was how my sort of love affair with Clacton started, really.
Well, looking forward to that. So make sure you subscribe in the same place as you found this episode so that you don't miss it. An episode will land on the 1st and 15th of each month. So until next time, thanks for listening.